Ooh, this chair is wet. Fuck. In this box is not soda sense. It says not this. It is not soda sense. This is one of my oldest knives that I've made. I think this is like my 10th knife I've made ever. And I sold it to a guy who found me, I think on Reddit, and he's had it ever since. So this knife got sent back just to kind of get like a touch up, sharpening, thinning, and just general refurbishment. It's gonna be interesting to see a knife that I haven't seen since, when did I make this? I made this one in 2013. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's either 2012 or 2013 I made this knife. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how much my work has changed since then. See how well I did 8 years ago. Actually, I want to see the surprise first. Damn, that is cool. This beautiful coffee cup. Look at the colors on that. Damn, that's cool. So thank you, Brian. Okay, the knife. Wow, so that's pretty cool. So this is 240 Gyudo. I forget what wood this is. It's got ivory paper micarta liners, and it's got like this slight like pattern grain going on with the layers just wearing, and almost looks like actual ivory. Matching ivory paper micarta sheath, which it still fits pretty nice. And then the blade I think was 1084. I forged that out at the community college when I was first starting out. So it's got a few little chips in it. Got a little piece taken off the tip. So the geometry is actually pretty interesting. A lot of the convexity is more towards the upper part, and nowadays it's the opposite. We put more convexity towards the bottom, like third area. So it's flatter towards the edge, and I'm just feeling the geometry. It's actually not bad. It's straight, taper tang, looking at from both sides. It's off by a couple degrees, but it's pretty straight. And back then I didn't have the greatest equipment. So I definitely didn't have a disc sander. I did this all by hand on the belt grinders that we had, which were single speed, and they went blazing fast. So the handle geometry is pretty similar to what I do now, just slight differences. It feels still pretty good. The butt's different. Geometry is more symmetrical overall. So nowadays my facets go a little bit higher. Handle's holding up pretty well overall too. Mosaic pin has some cool like patina and wear in it. I'm gonna touch up the blade, get those chips out, and just clean everything up. I mean, honestly, it looks like it doesn't even need like thinning. I thought I was gonna get this back and it would be like a really beefy, just wedge of a knife. But oh, I'm pretty impressed with previous Dawn actually. This is cool to see. Obviously no plunge line, so it's just flat throughout. Everything's kind of smooth. I still had the radius choil on the rounded spine. The saya is a 3-piece, and just pretty basic. It's got a little sandwich in between of just like a soft wood, and then 2 outer pieces of the matching liner material. It looks pretty clean still. Aesthetically, it's very interesting to me seeing the differences in the lines, but overall it's still something that I can recognize as my work. Overall, this is in really good, I think this is in really good condition. It's better than a lot that I've seen. It's not like completely pitted away. Doesn't have giant chips out of the edge. It's just got a few little ones. So yeah, I'm just gonna clean this up and then send it back. But it's really cool to see old work. This knife is 8 years old. It's the 10th knife I've made. And I had only been making knives for like, oh God, about a year at this point. No, a year and a half. Yeah, I've been making knives for about maybe a year and a half to 2 years at this point. Say, I want to see this old ass knife.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. Diamond plate, 320 and 1500. So I'm just gonna use a diamond plate to get out the big chips in there. And then I might just thin it by hand because there's not much that I need to do. Just splash the stones really quick. I have a feeling I know why this chipped. Feels pretty hard on the diamond plate. Like, this is some hard steel. It's like very glassy. So I'm just doing a really rough sharpening just to get out the chips. Deburr it really quick. See how much more I need. Not much. It's almost just those little... Like, that one's almost gone. That one's a little bit bigger. I need to do more work on that. And honestly, I don't even think I need to thin this out because I'm not taking off all that much steel at the edge. And I'm not really thickening up the edge that much. And it's gone. So now I'm just gonna go to the next stone. And I'm starting with stropping motions just so that there isn't any burr that's gonna grab to the stone and kind of like gouge it out. Now that I've reestablished the edge, all I'm doing is really just kind of refining and cleaning up the scratches. So I think now for the last stone. So now there's a little bit of the tip that I need to touch up. So I'm just gonna go on the spine right here and just kind of take off some material there. There we go. And I'll just deburr that so there's no sharp burr. I think that's it for the blade at least, and then clean up some of that surface rust. But that feels good to me. So next, I think I'll touch up the handle a little bit and then I think it'll be done. So I'm mostly just gonna take some 600 grit sandpaper and just really quickly clean up like this pin right here and a little bit of the surfaces, but I'm not gonna take off too much. So wrap it as tight as I can around this little sanding stick that's inspired by Nick Wheeler. Crease it really tight in the front and then roll it back so it gets it pretty nice and tight. And then feel the angle so that I don't kind of wash over the lines. And I put a diagonal so that the footprint's a little bit bigger. Just press it tightly, feel the angle, and then I kind of lock in and then go from there. So I'm basically just going until like the scratch pattern looks uniform and this pin is mostly cleaned up. I'm not gonna go too crazy. Again, get paper tight, lock it on, and just go. And when I first start, I lock it in and then I do a couple little quick passes just to see the scratch pattern and to get that muscle memory going. And then Now I'm gonna switch to slightly higher grit. Do the same thing. And right now I'm keeping that same angle and I'm just chasing the old scratches. So I'm seeing where the kind of lighter spots are. That's the area that I need to take off with the finer sandpaper. Just a few scratches here and there. Pin's a little bit recessed in there. I could go a little bit further, but this edge right here where the handle starts is a little bit tight. And there's not much material there. So I'm being pretty cautious right now. So this back part, I lock it into the back part of that facet to get the angle, and then I just kind of just go. And with this, since it's not one of my recent knives, I'm not really sure how the angle is relative from like the back to the front. So the angle could be changing, or there could be like little waves. So I'm being really careful and looking at where I'm taking off material. Take a little piece of wood backed with leather, and I just kind of do this little rounded transition right here. Go to fresh piece. I don't want any of the old like stuff from the paper because the ivory micarta tends to stain a lot if you use just used paper. So take a fresh piece and then just kind of clean it up really quick. That's it. I think since this pen is a little bit more recessed and slightly tarnished, I'm gonna go a little bit more with the 600 grit. So two things that I'm watching out. I'm watching out for that little last piece of tarnished pin to start going away, and I'm watching this edge right here. I definitely don't want to overshoot this, but I want to try to get as much of that out as possible. And I think that's about as far as I'll go. I'm pretty happy with that so far. Clean it up with 1200. Now I'm just kind of cleaning up the edges on the tang because things have shifted over time. Just the material has shrunk and expanded, and the tang just doesn't fit super tight anymore. So I'm just really quickly kind of easing it a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I just want it to look and feel a little bit more smooth. Because right now I feel like there's just some stuff that's like built up or doesn't feel exactly flush. And then now that the handle's done, I'm just doing a really quick light coat of True Oil. I basically coat the whole handle in oil, work it in, and I take one of these kind of like micro polishing type jewelry cloths and just wipe off the excess. So it's not meant to be super glossy or anything like that. Just meant to kind of bring back that wood and give it a little bit more color now that I've sanded it down a little. So tiny super thin coat of True Oil. I've applied it. Now I just need to let it dry and cure or whatever for a whole day. If I mess with it now, it's just gonna get really smudgy and gross. So yeah, it's basically almost done. I think I'll actually go back and refinish some of the blade. I took off some of the surface rust, but there's a little bit of pitting and I just want to sand off a little bit of that. So I'll do that tomorrow, touch up the edge one last time, and then it goes back to its home. What did I do last time? Oh yeah, so I quickly refinished the handle a little bit, just a little bit, and re-oiled it just to kind of clean up the mosaic pin. I was cleaning off a little bit of that surface rust a little bit, and it was deeper than I liked. So I actually just kind of did a quick hand sand. I had to sadly take off quite a bit of that patina, but there's still a lot of the character left in this blade. So I think that's pretty good. And it has been interesting to look at it. It's been really cool to see this knife because I haven't seen it since 2013, and it's just kind of like a blast of the past. Like some details are just so different. Like this angle's different, this angle's different. Like the overall geometry is just, it's just subtle changes. But I'm actually kind of curious how this cuts. So before I send it out, I'm just gonna cut a potato and see how it works. Just to see and compare if like our work has actually improved since then, or if it's actually gotten worse. That'd be kind of interesting. It's probably gonna crack, I imagine. Actually, no. No cracking, no steering, just kind of fell off. It's pretty nice. Sticks a little bit, which is what I expected. It's a lot flatter towards this section where the convexity is a little higher, and yeah, like I said, we normally push that convexity lower now with our current blades. But it cuts nice though. Doesn't steer, doesn't wedge. So yeah, some sticking. For like my 10th knife ever, like this is, I think, pretty good. I'm impressed I actually got that edge so thin. It's a little bit too thin actually, so that's why we kind of got those chips out and thickened it up a little bit. So yeah, now that this is all kind of freshened up, I'll be sending it back out. And thank you, Brian, for that coffee mug. I use it every day now. So it was really cool to see this knife again, because this is one of my favorite ones from back then. And that's it. I'm gonna eat these taters. Disturbing our video shoot again, James.
Hi, James. Hello.
Yep, and that's it.
Shit.
Nobody gives a shit.
Hey, look, it's a big dummy.
Where?
Inside your skull, stupid.
Yeah, that is a big dummy.
Well?
Oh, did you start?
Yes.
Oh, okay.